Yes, guys, what's going on? Welcome to AdamMcKola TV. We are back, and this is the preview for Manchester United against Manchester City at Old Trafford in the Premier League. And United going into it on the back of that defeat against RB Leipzig, which knocked Manchester United out of the Champions League and into the Europa League. Here we go again. We are back in the Europa League, and the draw for that is next week. So we will, of course, be finding out who we face in that competition. But in the Premier League, we are actually above Manchester City, which is not as bad as it feels or it seems. Obviously, with some of the form Manchester United have had at home, we have dropped 11 points at home in the Premier League. That's not good enough. Obviously, we got that victory over West Bromwich Albion last time out, thanks to a Bruno Fernandes penalty, but the performance wasn't anywhere near the level expected of Manchester United and expected to be needed to beat Manchester City as well. And after the performance against RB Leipzig, obviously we'll be coming into it with a little bit of a European hangover and that feeling of devastation, really. I'm sure it's still with the team and with the squad, and I would hope they want to prove a point. Obviously, in the Premier League, everything's not lost. In the Champions League, it is, unfortunately, and we shouldn't be in that position given the first two games and the 6 points out of 6 with 2 games against Istanbul to come, and you need 4 points. You're thinking, surely we do that here. We don't, and we go out. But in the Premier League, actually, if we win our game in hand, we're not far off those teams at the top. But obviously, a defeat here would see us drop further behind those teams that are in the first and second and third spots at the minute. And it's very close up there at the top. And with the kind of season that it's going to be, we know it's going to be a hectic season. We know it's going to be a little bit wild, and it's going to be teams dropping points left, right and centre, although Liverpool look really good at the minute, and that's surprising given the amount of injuries that they've got, or maybe less surprising considering Jurgen Klopp's probably the best manager in Europe at this moment in time. But you look at United and, you know, we haven't got much injuries. Anthony Martial's back in the squad now. Edinson Cavani is still out. But Manchester United are getting players back into the squad, and we need to be improving on last season. We didn't get all of the signings that we wanted to have in the transfer window, but we did get a fair few good signings. Van der Beek, Cavani, Telles as well. We've obviously got Ahmad Diallo Traore to team up with the team, or join up with the team rather, in January. Facundo Pellistris in the 23s. We know that is not really going to impact the team yet, but the squad has been improved, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be judged on improving the team now. Obviously, we weren't in the Champions League last year. We were in the Europa League. We got to the semi-finals. We've been knocked out of the Champions League this year. Now, after the first 2 games, that's not what Manchester United should be doing. And that's obviously a failure on his and the team's part. But he's going to be judged on Manchester United improving and showing levels of improvement. And if we fall further away from those teams at the top, then he could be in danger of losing his job. Because it's harsh at Manchester United. If you're not getting the results and it's on a sustained period, and we're getting knocked out of the Champions League in the group stages, and you've spent a fair decent amount of money, no matter who you are, you're going to be under pressure. And we need to start to see that actually this team is moving in the right direction, because so far we've been consistently inconsistent, inconsistent up front, heavily reliant on Bruno Fernandes. And you know, we're either scoring 3, 4, 5 or we're not scoring at all. And then defensively inconsistent. We've got the capability of keeping clean sheets, but also leaking loads of goals, and that's the defence we've been seeing more recently. So we need to be at it in this game, and we need to be showing that there's a reaction and we want to improve, because if the results don't get better, the negative feeling around the team and around the club and around the fans is only going to get worse. So United really need to be at it in this game, and it's a Manchester derby. If you're not up for this game, what game will you be up for? The perfect opportunity for Manchester United to bounce back from that defeat against RB Leipzig, from getting knocked out of the Champions League. We need to be bouncing back in this one. So massive game. I can see you guys in the comments as well. We got Jim, Ilya, Venki, Leechin, Shahar, Nuclear, Nadal, Ross, Parth, Ronan, David, Ryan, Utkarsh, etc. So thank you all for joining us. A lot of you guys are speaking about Pogba, Harry Maguire. I don't think Paul Pogba will be starting this game. He didn't start against RB Leipzig when he came on. He seemed to change the game in Manchester United's favour, and that's the ability that he has. But I felt that obviously after his agent's comments, he was probably never likely to start anyway. Although Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came out and said that was tactical as well. He had planned on doing that anyway. Whether that's true or not, you obviously wouldn't expect him to say it publicly. If he did have to change his mind on that one. And going into this game, Ole's obviously said, he's not hinted at leaving him out, but I don't think Paul Pogba will be involved in this game either. We have seen in these kind of fixtures, he will go for McTominay and Fred. Fred's obviously available again for Manchester United, missed out midweek, and I think he'll go for Matic or McTominay alongside him. Bruno Fernandes isn't going to be left out. And whilst personally maybe I'd pick a team with Donny van der Beek or Paul Pogba in it with Bruno Fernandes, I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will in this game. But we will of course have our predicted 11s later on in this video as well. So make sure you're keeping it locked for that. We'll get your predicted 11s as well. And of course Harry Maguire, more mistakes from him midweek, more defensive mistakes from the whole defence as well. But Harry Maguire obviously comes with a big price tag, big expectation. He's the captain, so a lot of the focus is going to be on him. I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka also made a few mistakes. Lindelof, Luke Shaw, Telles, they all combined to make mistakes. But Harry Maguire has continuously made errors for Manchester United. He's shown peaks and troughs in his performances. He's had good games, bad games, which is like the rest of the team. But he obviously hasn't lived up to the status that he had when he arrived at the club, the price tag or the captain's armband, and that's disappointing for Manchester United fans, and disappointing obviously for him as well. But I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will drop him from the team. He started every game I think in the Premier League last year, and I wouldn't be surprised if a similar thing happened this season, unless he gets injuries. So yeah, I think Harry Maguire will start. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will show his faith in him, and keep him in this team for this game. My personal opinion is you've not really got much in terms of the ability to change it up. When Axel Tuanzebe last played, he didn't play his best. Obviously he's just coming back, he needs to be given fitness. Lindelof hasn't, I think Lindelof's edged Maguire. Obviously probably the best of a bad bunch, but I think Lindelof's edged Maguire. He's just coming back from injury, can't be relied on for fitness. So when you're looking around for centre-halves to come in, Manchester United haven't got many. And that's the problem that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer faces at this minute. But I would possibly consider chopping it up and changing it up. But I don't think Ole will do that in the Premier League, in the Manchester derby against City this weekend. That is for sure. Do you think it's time to bench David De Gea? Says Faisal. Personally, I don't think we'll see David De Gea benched. Would I bench him? I'm not sure. I don't think he's been bad this season. Obviously, made an error for their goal. I think he should have been braver in coming out and stopping that third goal. But I don't think he particularly made mistakes this season or looked bad this season. I think he's actually improved this season on last season's performance, which probably wasn't hard, but he has. Now, obviously, the big thing is that we've got, Dean Henderson on the bench, raring to go and raring to get an opportunity. When he has stepped in, he's looked good for Manchester United. But is the Manchester derby the game for him to come into? I'm not too sure. Again, I think Ole will kind of show some faith with a few of his players. I can't see wholesale check. Maybe you'll get, maybe Dean Henderson will start. But I can't see Maguire not starting, that's for sure, as the captain. And I do think he kind of holds David De Gea in the same regard. And with us now being in the Europa League, you'll probably see Dean Henderson take up the mantle in the Europa League, as we saw with Sergio Romero last season up until the latter stages when it looked obvious he wanted to leave and he was going to leave, and Dean Henderson was going to return. So maybe because we've got the Europa League on the horizon, Ole might have just said, those are your games when they come around, and the League Cup and things like that. So yeah. David thinks the captaincy should go to Bruno. Bruno with another player of the month. He's won as many player of the months as all the rest of the Manchester United players since Sir Alex Ferguson left. Rashford's got one, Zlatan had one, Martial had one, and Bruno's got 3 in the last calendar year. Incredible stuff from Bruno Fernandes. Has come in and stepped up the levels. And the thing with Bruno Fernandes is, even when he's not particularly having his best games, he still puts in some sort of performance, and that's what you want from every single one of your players. And not only that, more often than not, he is on form and he's getting goals, he's getting assists, he's mixing it up with his teammates. Now, I do think he's started to show a lot of frustration recently, which is good, because you want that in the dressing room. You want people to be keeping the demands high, but I think sometimes it can affect your performance on the pitch, and I don't want to see that too much. I want him to see more relaxed playing his football, because when he is relaxed, when he is playing his football, he is one of the best players about. But obviously that gives him an edge as well in terms of getting to challenges and things like that, which is great too. And you see that kind of little spite and the little nastiness in him, which is great from him as well. He's definitely captain material for sure. He's a captain without an armband, to be honest. I would love to see him give him it. I don't think Olive's going to make that change at all. I don't think we'll see him, the armband taken off him. But I do think Bruno is a captain in just the way that he handles himself about the place. And obviously in Premier League Piss Take, I said one of the things about Bruno is he might not be the most talented player in the world. Obviously people took that as me saying he's not talented. He clearly is talented. He's one of the best players in the Premier League and one of the best players in Europe. But what I was trying to say was that edge, that competitiveness, that drive gives him something else. It's like Cristiano Ronaldo's got that drive to just be the best player in the world. Now, I'm not saying Bruno Fernandes is going to be the best player in the world or achieve the status of Cristiano Ronaldo, but that drive can bring something else to a player. You see it in certain individuals, and Bruno Fernandes has that. If you have 11 players with that, regardless of their talent levels, you're going to be playing at a decent level. Sartak is going to be on the show. Obviously, he's just not been recently, but I think he's going to be appearing as a guest and stuff. Again, obviously, I'm on there more regularly now as well. But yeah, that's all I know about the situation, really. Premier League Piss Take is a weekly must watch, says Ryan R. You're damn straight. That is for sure. Shahar says he doesn't need the armband, and that's correct. I still rather Maguire than all of our defenders, says Lee Chin. Maguire has been good for the most part, and that is, I suppose, fair enough. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has insisted Manchester United will not press the panic button in regards to obviously getting knocked out of the Champions League and all that. But also in his press conference, we got some team news, so let's get the team news out for Manchester United right now. And Ollie said, obviously we've got Fred returning from suspension anyway, so his wasn't a fitness issue. Strikers Cavani and Martial were obviously withdrawn with knocks against the Hammers, and then didn't play midweek and weren't involved. He said Anthony Martial will definitely be involved, and Edinson has been training on the grass today, which was today, Friday the 11th. But whether he'll be ready or not remains to be seen. So we'll see what happens with Edinson Cavani. It'd obviously be massive to be having available in the squad. Obviously that means that Shaw is likely to have suffered no ill effects from his injury when he returned midweek against Leipzig, and I do think that will play a big part in Manchester United's selection. Now, also for Manchester City, they don't really have any injury issues. They don't have transfer issues either because they splashed the cash. But Guardiola suggested Sergio Aguero may not be fit to start this. He came off the bench and scored midweek, so it may just be mind games and he may actually start this game. But he's saying he's not fit enough to start this game in the Manchester derby. Kevin De Bruyne and Ruben Diaz were rested midweek as well. Ilkay Gundogan was withdrawn, but as a precaution, and he should be available for this game. So my predicted 11 after that news, let me move myself out of the way of the 11, is this as follows. I've gone with 3 centre halves and Luke Shaw playing in that left centre back position. As I alluded to earlier in the video, I don't think Paul Pogba will be starting this game. I can see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer going with that McTominay and Fred pivot in the midfield area, with Bruno just ahead of them. So I've gone with David De Gea keeping his spot, Maguire, Lindelof, Shaw, Alex Telles and Wan-Bissaka, McTominay, Fred, Bruno Fernandes, Anthony Martial and Marcus Rashford. Hopefully Marcus Rashford isn't feeling any ill effects from the shoulder injury that he had. And again, Nuclear Nadal says, what the fuck, Shaw? David says, Shaw, really? It's my predicted 11, not my preferred 11. My preferred 11 would probably be that same team with Shaw out for Pogba or Donny van der Beek. Probably Donny van der Beek. But that's the team I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will go with in this one. If I was going to pick the team, I would probably go with this. But again, predicted Luke Shaw. But I'd go with that kind of team if I was going to pick it. But I do think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to go with that one. Sean Ralph says, I'd rather a back four after that first half horror show on Tuesday. David says Shaw's not a major liability. Unfortunately, no matter what we think about these players and whether they deserve to start or not, the likelihood is they are going to start, and that's why this is my predicted 11 and not my preferred 11. I do think those players will be starting this game, or at least most of them. I think obviously Martial being available, he starts. I think Rashford starts, Fernandes starts, Fred, McTominay starts, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof, De Gea. I think those guys are definitely going to start. One of Shaw and Telles will start, maybe both. If not both of them, then I think Donny van der Beek or Cavani, if he's fit, could get a start. And you go with that front three, maybe with like a 4-2-3-1. But that's the way I think it's going to be. Seriously, that's the way I think it's going to be. It's going to be a difficult game as well. Obviously, Manchester City. Our last memories of being in a full Old Trafford was against Manchester City. Scotty McTominay scoring that goal late on, Anthony Martial scoring the goal earlier on in the game, and it'd be great to get a goal from Anthony Martial. Obviously no goals for him in the Premier League. He's had an up and down, he's had a mainly down campaign, hasn't he? He scored the goal in Istanbul. He scored a goal for Manchester United against Leipzig from the penalty spot, but apart from that he hasn't scored this season. Now that sounds bizarre when you've gone 10 games into the season, but if you look at it, suspended for 3 games, come off early in the Spurs game through his own fault, obviously. Come off against, it was the last game where he come off as a sub. So he's played 5 full games and he's been out of form massively. And because he's been suspended, because he's been out of form, bad luck at times, you know, obviously he hasn't been able to get going. But now he's back in the team, he's back in the squad. He needs to get going, he needs to get performing, he needs to score a goal. That's what we really need from him, especially if he starts this game as our number 9. Ryan says, I've always been the biggest Pogba supporter. Raiola has gone too far. Now head is gone. What should we do with him? It's simple. We should sell him. It's that simple. Whether in January, in the summer, I'm not too sure. United obviously have to get the best deal for themselves, and because of that, I think, you know, I don't think Paul Pogba is a nuisance amongst the squad. So I can see him still being involved with the squad and in the team. I don't think he'll start as many games maybe as he would have if we didn't hear these comments from his agent. And I think eventually it will lead to him being sold from Manchester United, whether that's in January or in the summer. But I can't see him being here much longer. And I think you just gotta just deal with it now, and just get rid. Bring in a replacement. Hopefully you get that defensive midfielder. And a replacement lined up for Matic. He's not good enough anymore. He can't start every game. And bring in someone like Jack Grealish would be my ideal way to go with it, to be totally honest with you. Felix says Luke and Telles cannot start together. That stuff is not working. And again, this is my predicted 11. I would probably go with a back four, with maybe Fred, Donny van der Beek, Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, Marshall, and Greenwood or Cavani. But I think we'll see this kind of 11. Glenn doesn't want to see Maguire starting. Don't play De Gea, play Henderson, says Jihad. Fair shout. Could see that possibly happening as well. But I don't think it will. I think he's going to stick with De Gea. I think he's going to stick with Maguire. And I think he might be sticking with those 3 centre-backs and 2 wing-backs. I think that's a big possibility. You get Fred and McTominay in there to try and close those gaps where Manchester City are so good in between the defence and midfield. Try and prevent the impact of Kevin De Bruyne and his ability to find people in the box with those wicked crosses. You have your wing backs there, Wan-Bissaka, to obviously hopefully deal with what Sterling offers, and hopefully provide a little bit of support going forward. And then Luke Shaw is going to have to deal with, I don't know who's going to start, Riyad Mahrez or whatever. He's going to have to deal with that side as well. Whether it's Jesus or Sergio Aguero, you got a lethal striker to deal with. So yeah, big game this one. Big game for Manchester United. City will be looking to get 3 points. United obviously be all out for 3 points. What's the table looking like at the minute? United are in 6th position, 19 points after 10 games. City are in 7th position with 18 points after 10 games. If we can beat them, 4 points clear of City, it's not too bad at all. And you also take yourself on 22 points. Now we're 5 points off Spurs with a game in hand, and Liverpool 3 points off Chelsea with a game in hand, 2 points off Leicester. So if you can get a big 3 points in this game, if you're losing this one and that's 14 points dropped at home from the first 6 games, that's not pretty viewing, in it. And any manager with that kind of record deserves to be under pressure, to be honest with you. As much as we love Oli and we want to see him succeed, you can totally understand why there'd be pressure if we continue to not get results. Cutthroat business. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. I am confident we're going to put in a performance. It's going to frustrate the hell out of us because of the result against Leipzig, and getting knocked out of the Champions League. We're going to feel like, oh, why couldn't we just do that midweek? But I do think we're going to get a result. I think it's going to be a tight one. But I'm going to go for goals. 2-1 Manchester United or 3-2 Manchester United. But I'm going both teams to score. United to win. And that has been the preview, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to those guys that got your super chats in. Let me make sure there's nothing else that I've missed in terms of that. No more super chats that I've missed. But we got another person, Naveen, saying Maguire should be benched. Someone else saying Pep is a bench. Maguire should not play. Yes, Ryan got the Ireland jersey on. Mata is a key, says Jihad, who wants to see Mata start in this game, which is an interesting one. I can't see that happening. There's no fans in the stadium at this game, but hopefully that doesn't matter, and Manchester United can bring home the W. For now, I've been AdamMcKola. You lot have been legends. I'm out of here.